Yeah, a little update on the Jeep. I wanted to show you guys what I did to fix the kink in the frame, or kink in something on this Jeep. It was definitely leaning to the left-hand side. I've been mentioning this on and off for the last 6 months, and it's finally starting to really annoy me. So I'll show you guys what I did here. So to start off and to recap, when I first got the Jeep, I cut out the floor, cut out the cross members, all the rusted, rotten stuff that was there. So if you remember, it was just nothing here. All that was there was just the wall here and this wall right here. No tailgate. I took the gas tank out, obviously, because it mounts to the floor right here. So there was like no weight on the frame at all in the back, except for this corner that sits on the very end of the frame, and then this corner that sits on the very end of the frame. So when I measured the height of the vehicle, because I noticed it looked odd, you measure it from the wheel cap to the fender flare up here. This side of the time was 18 inches. That side of the time was 17 inches. I chalked it up to a bad leaf spring. This leaf spring right here is the passenger side. It's still pretty good, actually. It could be used if you needed it. You know what I mean? Granted, it's 50 years old, but it's not like inverted upside down. It's not, you know, severely rusted. It could be used again, and I will save it. You never know. This spring is the driver's side in the rear. You can see it's split apart. There's severe rust in between the leaves, and these last two leaves down here broke off. So obviously there's no support except for the main eyelet, basically, or the main leaf, and that's it. So I'm like, well, that's the reason why it's dropped an inch. Well, new leaf springs on, bed is built, everything is done back here, and when you measure it, it's still off by almost an inch. This side is 19 inches. This side was 20 inches, or slightly over 20 inches. So it was off by about an inch. Now, I do have the gas tank in there, and the gas tank has kind of always been full because my needle doesn't work, or the gas gauge doesn't work, so I kind of try to keep the gas tank full so I don't run out of gas, because you never know. You know what I mean? The thing gets like 9 to 10 miles a gallon, so it's better to keep it near full than to tempt fate with a bad gas gauge. Anyway, my point is, what I did was I swapped over the coilover shocks, because one coilover shock is slightly lower than the other one. It must have been on the driver's side of my Wagoneer, which is where all the weight is on that side from the gas tank and me. And I also had a weaker leaf spring on that side for about a year before I finally fixed the frame and then replaced the leaf spring. So I swapped coilovers. That actually didn't do anything. It's still off. So I'm not swapping leaf springs, because I can guarantee you it's not the brand new leaf springs, because it's already been sagging before them. So the frame is probably bent. Something is probably kinked. This thing has been in an accident at one point in its life. I don't know when, but you can see this is pretty pushed in pretty good. That's 16 gauge steel. That's very, very thick steel for a body panel. And to dent a small piece like that, you know, that's like an oval shape, because oval shapes like this are hard to dent. It must have been a pretty hard impact. And also, the bumper mount, the 3/16 bumper mount right here, or bracket or whatever, is really, really kinked. I mean, you can see it's real fucked up. Even the bumper back here is like pulled out. I don't know what kind of force it would take to bend 3/16 steel like that, but it must have been a lot. So, that is probably what happened, or it could have been 5 months ago, 6 months ago, when I cut off a large section of the frame on this side. I cut out the entire bottom lip of the C-channel, about 18 inches of it, and about 18 inches of the center of the C-channel. So all that was left was a tiny little piece of the C-channel about this size right here. That's all that was left of the frame after I cut it out. And I didn't really support it like I should have, and I also let it sit like that for about a week or two. Now, mind you, there was no bed floor, there was no cross members, there was no gas tank. The only weight on the frame was this corner and that corner, and that's it. And this bed is really, really light. So I'm not sure if that bent it or not. When I'm looking at it by the eye, usually I can eye things pretty well. The frame, it doesn't look bent. When you measure it, though, when you measure from the floor to the frame, this side is a little under 3 inches. When you measure from this side, from the floor to the frame, it's exactly 3 inches. So it is kinked a little bit on this side. And I just don't know if it's from when I cut it or if it's from this accident. So what I did was I took, now mind you, this doesn't cause drivability issues. I've driven it almost 300 miles. There's no vibrations. It doesn't pull at all. It actually drives really good. I've even had 2,000 pounds in this truck. That's me included. I'm 300, so I had 1,700 pounds of concrete, old wood, posts, and no issues at all. Very comfortable to drive, only dropped about 1.5 inches. This thing can hold a lot of weight. Now, mind you, I wouldn't really go over 2,000 pounds because it only has Dana 44s. This truck is technically like a 1,300 to 1,500 pound, payload capacity, so 2,000 was a lot. But anyway, so what I did was I took some 2x4s, stacked them like 3 or 4 times, took my 12-ton bottle jack, and I jacked up the Jeep on this corner right here. This is the very end of the last, which needs to be replaced. This is the end of the last C-channel on this Jeep that's bolted to the frame / welded to the frame. So I jacked it up as high as I could to where the tire was almost in the air. This tire was up a little bit too. But I stepped on the corner of the bed over here, put the tailgate down, started jumping up and down. Again, I'm 300 pounds, so that's 300 pounds of weight, up, down, up, down, up, down. You could see the corners of this bed twist and bend. It was like, twisting like that, you know what I mean? And when I was actually twisting down like this. So as I was doing that, I did it for like maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and then I stopped, and then I just stood there for another 5 minutes, got off, lowered it down, and then I jacked it right, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a cross member right there. Jacked it up on that cross member, did the same thing, jumped up and down on it. And I've done this before, so when I was cutting out the floorboard on this side, cut the floor support out because it was completely rotten, floor support / body mount. Again, I'm kind of new at this kind of stuff, so I didn't support it, which I learned you should have. And when I was done welding everything, this door right here was closing up against that. It was really, really bad. So this was right here, and the door wouldn't close at all, but now you can see it's all lined up. And the reason why is because I unbolted it, jacked it up on the floor support, lifted up the vehicle until the wheel was in the air, and the weight of the vehicle bent the cabin back to where it was, bolted it back up, and now you can see it's all lined up. So tried the same practice over here, like I just said. After I was done with that, I measured the wheel cap here to the fender flare. This is now 20 inches, so it did go down, not 1/4 inch, but a little bit less than 1/4 inch. And this side over here, instead of 19 inches, is now 19.5 inches. So this side went up 1/2 inch. So something was definitely bent on this car. So now it's off by only 1/2 inch. And when I measure my coilover shocks, this one is 1/2 inch lower, almost, maybe 1/4 inch lower. This one is 1/4 inch higher. I'm chalking that up to the weight, the unevenness of the vehicle. Remember, I got a full gas tank over here, etc. So I think that's about as good as I can get it. Now, another thing that makes it look really cockeyed was this tailgate. If you guys remember, this tailgate right here was completely like half moon shaped. It was really bad, or crescent moon. It was dented badly. Somebody must have dropped the tailgate, backed up the vehicle really fast, smashed into a tree because it was a tree shape. And this up here was like down here. So when I repaired it as best as I could. But this panel right here, it's a little more straight now. It's still all dented and everything like that. I'll never get it fixed completely. But this panel was sticking out like right here. I never fixed it completely, so the top was still lower. If you looked over here, it was like 1/2 inch lower on that corner, and this one was only 1/4 inch. But now they're even, So what I did to fix this, at least push it up a little bit, and I'll backtrack myself. When it was a little bit lower like that, when you looked at the Jeep, because it's half an inch lower on the, because it was 1 inch lower on that side, on top of the tailgate being a half an inch lower, it made it look really, really, really cockeyed. And now that it's half an inch higher on that side and a 1/4 inch higher on the tailgate, now it doesn't look as cockeyed as it did before. It's still a little crooked. You can tell if you pause the video and just watch. It's still lower on the driver's side and higher on the passenger side, but it's not nearly as bad as it was. So I'm still I still want to fix this somehow. But what I did to fix this was I took a ball joint press, and I put some wood, right here, wood on this side, and I, torqued it down as tight as I could get it, and it pushed this panel in like it should be, and then it popped this up, and that's how it made this a little more level with that side, so now it's not so cockeyed looking. But again, it's still sagging by half an inch on this side, so it's still cockeyed just a little bit. I don't think I'm going to fix that 100%, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch lift block, and I'm going to put that underneath my leaf spring on this side. Probably a 1/4 inch. I don't want it to be too... Maybe I'll get both, and I'll test out both. But I'm going to put the lift block on this leaf spring, and that should lift up this side 1/4 or 1/2 inch, depending on which block I put. And that should fix the cockeyedness to be level, to the eye. So, but it's not bad like it used to be. It's still, crooked, just a hair. You can see if you zoom in just a little bit as I come down. Look at the back, the headboard back here, and then look at that for the tailgate when I go down. See, it's mainly the tailgate. You can see how the tailgate is drooping down right here versus higher up over there. So most of this is an optical illusion from the tailgate. I actually put my original tailgate on this Jeep right here, and when I look, you can't even tell what side is higher, what side is not. So, but I have OCD, so I'm going to put a lift block on it and just fix it. So that's how I guess, bent my frame a 1/2 inch higher, and fixed my tailgate for a 1/4 inch in order to get 3/4 inch extra height over here. So now it's not severely crooked anymore. So anyway, that sucks that I had like a bent frame or whatever on this Jeep, but apparently it's fixed now. So I'm not worried about it. And again, it never caused drivability issues, so it is what it is. So I'll let you guys go because I'm 13 minutes in. Thanks for watching, everybody. I don't know if anybody has an issue like this, and maybe they should try, bending their frame like I did. So it worked for the cabin, and it seems to have worked for the frame back here, so why not, Anyway, see you later. See you guys later. Sorry, tongue twister.